Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello.
How are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Tell me about your week.
Well, okay, where do I start? It's a week of new things, Judith. Not me, though. I haven't done anything new because I don't need anything. But Nelson's got a new car. He went to Dagenham in Essex to get it. Okay. And we were a little concerned because his previous car was playing up a bit when he stopped at traffic lights and things. So I was a bit concerned about the M25 and then what's that flyover tunnel thing called?
Dartford.
Yeah, that's the one. But he didn't have to stop at all on the way. He just drove straight through to Dagenham, so he was all right. And then he traded that in, brought back a new one, which was great. Spud's got a new flat. He's the first among the children to buy his own place.
Oh, cool.
And it's very, very nice indeed. It's a 1930s ground floor, and it's very big and square. All the rooms are big and square, which is nice. And it looks lovely from the outside.
And where is it, Nicola?
It's in Worthing, a very useful part of Worthing, near to some main roads, and but not too close that you can hear the traffic.
Okay.
And Sarah had a big hand in that because she's quite good at property, so she went around with him and helped him to choose the most investable one and the nicest one to live in as well.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Went to Sarah's new gaff. Heather and I went on Sunday afternoon. We went over there, and we had a few hours great fun drinking kava and playing with Heather's new computer gadget, which is a simulation program which enables you. It's a bit like a cross between a graphic design package and Second Life, where you can plan your rooms and move furniture around and things. So we spent quite a bit of time because she's moving back to Shoreham. I don't know if I've told you that.
No, you haven't. What's the little house you lived in?
Yes.
Okay.
Remodelling the dining room, kitchen, and extending the back, and so we had quite a lot of fun, remodelling the kitchen so that because she wanted two ovens. She wanted one, underneath the worktop, and one at eye level, which is the one she'll use most often. But she specifically wanted two so that she can have Christmas at her house.
Absolutely right. Yes, and is she moving back there because have I made this up? They're Airbnb-ing the flats in Hove.
They were going to Airbnb, but they're going to long-term rental now because it's much easier. And they've had, because Richard's got 3 places in Hove, Heather's got 1 place in Hove, and they'll get more money for them. He wasn't massively keen on moving back to Shoreham, but he's come round to the idea with her remodelling because she's making it a lot bigger and more spacious for him because he's quite a tall man.
Oh, I was going to say he's a big chap. Yes, he is. Yeah.
So they're bringing the stairs down and round. They're extending out the back and making it all really nice. And he's got, especially as they're going to get a dog. So having a house is much better to have a dog with than flats.
Given a choice, I'd rather live in Shoreham than Hove.
Yes, Hove's a bit impersonal for me.
Hove, actually.
Yes, it was all right, but I found it was all a bit too built up and a bit too impersonal.
Mm.
And I don't much like the seafront there either. It's too far away. You walk along the prom and you're miles away from the sea.
Yes.
So you don't get that sense of immediacy.
No.
But so we had a lovely time doing that and drinking a bottle of kava that I took over. I was quite good for me. I'm not very good with things like this, but I got a card, I got flowers, and I got a present. So,
and this is the place that the dog owners have given her, and she is furnishing from scratch from Freecycle. How's that going?
Oh, it's going really well. It's lovely.
Okay.
And you walk in, the thing about, places in the UK, especially this time of year, if they've got the central heating on, they feel warm and nice anyway.
Yes. And is she in Hove, actually? I forget where hers is. Worthing.
She's in Worthing.
Worthing, yeah.
Yeah, she decided she wanted to be nearer the kids so they could just sort of pop round when they felt like it.
Yeah.
So, so that's good. Except we'll all be popping to Spud's now. She's having to indoctrinate him in the idea that he needs mugs and coffee and tea. And he said, well, what do I need that for? I don't drink hot drinks. She says, you need that for the people who'll be popping round. And his face was apparently an absolute horrified picture.
Well, it's funny because I've been where I am since August bank holiday. I don't have a kettle or any tea bag, so don't pop round here, loves.
I'll bring my own coffee and one for you.
Well, you don't need to bring coffee. I have an espresso machine and mugs and coffee, but I don't. If tea drinkers, no merci.
Now you mentioned that, a little bit of maths would come in handy here.
Roger.
There's an espresso machine here. Nelson doesn't use it. Phoebe uses it once a day, so she uses like 1 pod a day.
Yep.
To buy a box of pods is £25 plus delivery from Amazon. I need to use 2 pods twice a day to get my coffee fix.
So you have 4 a day and she has 1 a day.
Yes.
Yes.
And to get 4 a day, 5 a day essentially, you need to buy 2 boxes a month, which is £50 a month plus delivery.
Well, you could buy it in 1 delivery so that you only have 1 delivery charge as opposed to buying it twice. Is that what you mean?
Well, no, I do buy 2 at a time, yes.
Yes, okay, yeah.
So I'm not absolutely convinced that this is not an extremely expensive way to buy drink coffee when I could buy a bag of the stuff and use my little coffee filter for however many individual...
Well, if you want to, you certainly could do that, and many people choose to do that. It's kinder to the planet, and some people like the coffee that ensues. I buy 50 pods a month because I have 2 twice a day, and I prefer the Nespresso option because it makes it just how I like it. So I think it's personal choice. Are you saying, are we comparing costs?
Yeah, well,
it's about 30p a pod Nespresso, and I bought a latte from the village shop in the middle of nowhere yesterday, and it was £1.80. So 30p at home versus £2.50 at Starbucks, or you can work out what that is. Just divide it
a bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, take the monthly cost from Amazon.
Say £60.
Yeah. Divide it by what are you trying to work out? The price of a cup.
Yes.
Divide it by. I don't know. How many pods are you buying?
I think I'm buying.
Shall we do this off podcast later? It's quite dull. Okay. Just divide the full cost by the number of pods you've bought. That's Phoebe's answer. Times 2 is your answer.
Yes.
Okay. Every cup costs you times 2 what it costs Phoebe.
And then I do feel bad when I have to empty the pod tray.
Well, if you buy it from Nespresso, they'll give you a green recycling bag, and when they deliver, they will take the old ones away. But I don't believe anybody is absolutely opening those and fishing out that somebody says they are. I don't believe it. You can recycle them. If you go somewhere where there's an espresso shop, you can take the green recycling bag full of the old pods.
Oh, okay.
And they are made of aluminum, which technically is recyclable.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't believe that most of the recycling that people profess is going on is actually going on, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't just mean Nespresso, I mean local councils as well.
Well, we've got the Save the Planet police living here, so we have to recycle as much as possible.
Yeah, well, your little coffee press thing is much more recyclable.
Yeah.
Better still if it could go in the compost, but I'm sure you don't have that.
No.
No.
Okay, so what about your week then?
Well, I've had one of the busiest weeks I've had for as long as I can remember, including 2 day trips. Yeah, I've had 2 day trips this week. Monday, I went to visit my oldest school friend, who I've known for 53 years, which is, I can't quite get over that. It's quite an extraordinary thing, isn't it? I'm 64 and I've known her for 53 of those years. When we went to boarding school in 1966, she from Africa and me from Singapore. And as you know, she went on to invent Jenga, the game that you play with wooden bricks, but as part of a business which is about games design. And next month, November, she goes to Chicago, and she goes there every year because that's where the annual toy and game conference is. And the business that she owns and runs now, designing games for other entities like the Bodleian Library and the Royal Shakespeare Company and things like that, and anybody who wants a game designing, is now run by her daughter, who is in her 30s. And my friend Leslie is married to a German professor, Fritz, of spiders. Sorry, Leslie, but there it is. Sorry, Nicola, but there it is. He's the world's leading expert on spiders. And recently was on Radio 2 with Zoe Ball, who was asking him about spiders, and then she got him to do some pop picking and decide between 3 tracks which he liked best. And he knows absolutely 70, knows absolutely nothing about pop music, but he was very game. But then I saw him on Monday and I accused him of lying to Zoe Ball, because Zoe Ball said, is it true that if you bring conkers into the house, it takes the spiders away. Well, the man's a bloody zoologist at Oxford University, and he promised her he would bring conkers into the lab. I said, you liar, there's no way you're taking conkers into your lab to prove whether or not they keep spiders at bay. And he just gave me this enigmatic smile and disappeared. But the point of this story is, when I came back from Leslie's farmhouse, I said she's married to a German, and her daughter, Freddie, therefore is half German, and married to a Dane, and they live in Amsterdam, which is in Holland, Netherlands. Yeah. So there's once they go to Chicago together, Freddie comes back to the UK because it's the run-up to Christmas, when that's their busy season, when they sell all these games.
Of course it is, yeah.
And they had this podcast, which I imagine they don't have anymore, which was set in Blackwell's, which is the bookshop in Oxford, because one of the games she invented was this thing called Ex Libris, which is about the first and last lines of books.
Yes, we've played that in the Right Club.
Yes. So I had my lovely day out on Monday. It was lovely, except when I got on the M40 to come back, where the vilest, scariest rain was with me, so much that I couldn't see anything. So I was quite frightened, and it spoiled it, really. And it was the sort of rain that made me think, if I pull off the road, I'm going to just be sitting there for 2 hours, because this just looks like it's going to go on forever. And
you don't want to be sitting anywhere near a hard shoulder.
Well, not the hard shoulder. You're not allowed to do that, of course. Yeah. I would have to come off at services and sit there.
Garage, yeah.
But then it would have been dark, and then that's miserable, frankly. And yesterday I had another driving day, because Yodel, the nation's worst courier company, tried and failed to deliver to me on the 10th, the 11th and the 12th, pretending that they couldn't find our house, the house that Amazon and Tesco and every other delivery company finds every day of the week. So after 3 days of this, where you watch the delivery man and he says, you are number 87 of 90 deliveries, and you watch it all day, and then suddenly it goes poof, where he pretends he can't find your house.
And then there?
Well, I sat on I went onto the live chat, and in the end I said, look, keep the parcel, I'll come. So I drove to practically Birmingham yesterday, to the Yodel depot. And do you remember when we used to watch Happy Valley, where there were policemen in a kind of police station in high-vis vests? Do you remember the one with...
I remember the programme. I don't know specifically.
Well, policemen all wear high-vis vests, don't they? We often saw inside the police station. And what happened yesterday when we got to the Yodel depot was, I was a little bit angry, as you can imagine. And I was feeling quite... what's the thing I said yesterday? I was feeling efficient, because I was going to get this problem solved, but also officious, because I'm cleverer than they are. And so I had to sit in the car park and, calm myself down. And then I went and rang the customer service bell. I mean, service in Yodel, sorry, is a joke, but I rang the bell and I stood there whilst two ladies in high-vis vests ambled back past me after their coffee break. And then one of them eventually buzzed me in, and I went in, and there was like a little, like there is at the post office sorting office, where you look through a little cubby window. The place is full of people in there in high-vis vests who've just ignored me ringing the doorbell.
That's really rude, isn't it, when people do that?
It's just such a shoddily run business. That's what it is. Yeah. I don't believe he really tried. He went, on the first day he couldn't find the house, and the second day he went, I'm not going there, I couldn't find the house. You know why it is? It's because their business model doesn't give them long enough to do the deliveries, and starts penalising them, not letting them go for a wee if they don't do their job properly. So it doesn't behove them to spend any time at all looking for a hard-to-find address.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
I've got a swift customer service story for you about...
Go.
I went down to Boots to get my prescription, which has been sitting there since Saturday waiting for me. And the thingy,
yes,
begins with a P. They dispense things.
Pharmacist.
Yeah, that's the one. They were off at lunch, and there was only one of them apparently, so they couldn't give me my pills, even though they didn't need any pharmacy input at all.
Because that had been done.
They were bagged up already.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, I went back, and I right at the end of the afternoon, about 5:20, I thought, oh my God, I'd better get my blood pressure pills, because I didn't have one last night, and I can't go another night without them, because you never know what's going to happen. And I went down there, and I literally went in there about 28 minutes past, and the lights were on, there were people inside, the doors were open, there was nobody on the door, so I just ambled in. And at that point, from about 3 points in the shop, people called, we're closed. But there was nobody actually standing looking at me, telling me, there was no human being telling me we're closed. So I just thought, Am I imagining that echo that's going around the store? No, I'm not imagining it, but I'm going to ignore it. So I went over to the pharmacy counter and I said, and just as I got there, this lady from behind the counter said very quietly, "We're actually closed." And I said, "Door was open, the lights were on, there are people here, I just need to get my pills. There was nobody here at lunchtime, so I need to get them today." And so they gave in, and I honestly thought they were all going to ignore me.
I know.
Aggressive at its
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
I know. But and I thought, if you were closed, you should have shut the door, and I wouldn't have been able to get in.
Can I just say, no wonder the high street is dying.
Well, absolutely, yes. Bless them. They're all so nice to me in there normally. Anyway, I thought, I'm going to rise above this, and I'm going to be so bloody polite. I will make you smile at me by the end of this. And I was so grateful and kind and polite and nice to the pharmacist, to the lady who took my money. And then when I went back out towards the door, the lady who stood there holding the door now because they weren't letting anyone in.
Yeah.
So I smiled at her and got a smile back. So I consider that a win.
There is a service where you can do this online. I don't know how to do it because I don't have a doctor and I never get anything on prescription. But when I've occasionally bought the odd pill from Amazon, no, not Amazon, pharmacyonline.co.uk or something like that, there is a system where your prescription, I don't know how it happens, goes from the doctor to the thing and then the pills are shipped to you online.
Well, they go from my doctor to Boots, but they don't come to the house.
Well, I think you want to find another arrangement. That's what I'm saying. Well, I had another one yesterday, which was rather good, which was... I haven't told you this yet, I don't think, but I'm moving on from here. Have I told you that?
No, you haven't told me.
No, because when the people in the big house go to South Africa for a month in November, they want to Airbnb their big house and make an awful lot of money doing it. And they've already started to take bookings, which means their son and his girlfriend need to come and live in here to service the turnaround of the B&B. So I'm moving on the 8th of November, and there's so much prep for the big, because their house next door can sleep 16. So there's so much building work, prep, tidying up, moving of washing machines and so forth going on next door that yesterday I hunted down a laundrette. And there was a woman in there called Kelly, and I phoned her in the morning. I said, "Do you do service washes?" And she said, "Yes." And I told her my name, and she told me hers, and she told me when to come and what it would cost. And I went there. She smiled at me. She took my laundry in. She said she was there every day until 3 o'clock, but it would be ready from 1 o'clock. I went back at 1 o'clock. It was ready at 1 o'clock. I gave her a 15 quid and £2 to buy a latte next door from the shop that I'd bought earlier. And she said, "Are you bringing me another load?" I said, "I'm staying locally till November the 8th. And she said, "I'm only working here for another 3 weeks. I went, "Fantastic." And it's literally a brilliant, seamless service.
Yeah, that's how it should be, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes, I was so happy.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Yes, and she didn't want the tip. And I said, "Oh, my word, you've just done something marvellous for me."
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tip a person in Boots for a job well done, unfortunately.
No, you can't, unfortunately, yes.
Mm. Tell me what's fueled your fire.
Well, okay, what's fueled my fire? I'm trying to say that the SEO course is fueling my fire, but it's not particularly.
It's not your bag, really, SEO, is it? It's never really grabbed you somehow. In fact, I meant to pick you up last week when you said you thought it was a waste of time, because, of course, we both know Marvellous Charlotte, who has done the SEO on my website, which wasn't a waste of time at all. It's been on my mind all week, that, but it's a bit mechanic. Left-hand side for you.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I can force myself to do things, but the SEO thing is a whole other level, really. Except I saw a whole other level this week, and it made me feel completely inadequate. So I'll tell you about that another time. But this, I'm working my way through it, and it is quite simple. And I was convinced by the fact that when I look at my statistics, over 60% of my traffic comes from Google Organic. And that's actually what they said in the non-salesy sales page for this course. And it said, you can't ignore it because it's a load of great traffic and it doesn't cost you anything.
No, I think it's the only thing I've ever used, isn't it?
Well, I think it pretty much is, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And so anyway, I'm working my way through it, but it's not really fueling my fire. What's really fueled my fire, though, is my Indian developer who I hired to do Stoupa Life because he's an expert in a particular kind of software. And he's very keen to do more for me because he said he's enjoying, the fact that I know what I want and I'm very decisive and I communicate clearly. So I said to him the other day, I've got a website job coming up. Do you do WordPress on Thrive Architect, ideally? or do you have someone who could do that? And he said, oh, yes. He said, I'm a pro-level developer. I can do anything I want.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah, nice. So now I've got someone who's extremely affordable, who's extremely brilliant English, who's very, very, very good at what he does. And I can put work his way, which is nice. So,
what's his first name so we don't call him my little Indian developer?
Vikas.
Vikas. Vikas.
Nicely picked up, Judith. Nicely picked up, yeah.
Okay. It's just that if he's going to be a feature, because the other one, there was Zoltan, wasn't there, before?
Yes, it was. Zoltan's still good. He's still Zoltan on a regular basis.
I love these dramatic names they've got.
I know, Zoltan's really good. Here's a double-edged sword for you. You know the problem I have with one of my people that I send I send organic.
Yes.
Paid again this month.
Oh, no.
Lots of money, Judith. It's $3,400, which is not in my cash flow when I was expecting it.
Here we go.
Really good for about a year.
Yes.
I had to be nudged last month, but paid up quite promptly when in fact, I had to get Pete involved because Pete's a joint venture manager of some repute in the industry, as you know.
Yes.
I got him to try and fix up a call with the three of us to talk about it because this person totally ignores my messages and totally ignores my emails. So I got him to try and fix up a call with the three of us to discuss it, and they paid immediately.
Yeah.
But this month, nothing. It's now the 16th, 17th, and payment was due on the 5th, and it hasn't come. And you can imagine $3,400 not coming into your cash flow. Any kind of small business would feel that. And the thing is, it makes me so mad. It makes me so frustrated, and it occupies my thoughts, and it's taking my energy, and I don't like it. But the good news is that ClickFunnels has started to earn me quite significant sums of money because I've diverted. I don't imagine this person listens to this show, but I've had enough. I've had enough, so you're not getting any more of my traffic. So I'm diverting all this traffic, and I'm number 2 for the key phrase that brings all the traffic and does convert very well. I'm sending it all to ClickFunnels now because that started to make me think something.
Their affiliates' payments must be automated, whereas they're being handled manually still.
Exactly. But it's a double-edged sword. You've got to, if you get into this affiliate thing, you've got to pay your affiliates on time, or they get pissed off and they talk about you.
Well, they're your people. They're the same as paying your staff on time. Why do people go to work to get paid to pay their bills?
I know. And if I'm owed $3,400, that means that $6,800 of turnover has gone through their business.
For which they've had to do nothing at all.
Yes, nothing at all, and spend no money at all.
Yeah.
What they contracted to spend when I spend the traffic.
I think the most annoying thing about this is does not compute. They just said, I don't know, I can't understand it.
It's got to be a cash flow issue, but there's no excuse for the non-communication.
I don't think the cash flow issue should be passed on to you because the 6,800 has arrived at their end. All they have to do is not spend half of it.
Yes, and the worst thing is that I'm receiving emails from this person saying that they're driving about in their luxury car, having a lovely time crossing Spain.
Yeah,
and so it just is really galling when someone's publicly living the life but privately not paying their bills. So, what about you? What's fueled your flow?
On the 2 days when I wasn't driving, I'm very busy again. I've had this extraordinary busy week. A lot of clients on Tuesday. And later, I'm standing in for Louise on Alice and Louise's podcast called Art Juice. So, yeah, isn't that exciting?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm tasked with not discussing anything that's we discuss. So I've got to come up with fresh content for 2:00 this afternoon.
Okay. Artistic-y kind of content.
Well, not necessarily, no, because she's not expecting me to come up with artistic content. What we're talking about is coaching creativity, which is something I decided I wanted to do, if you remember, about, well, it was when Club 100 was invented, and I think it was about 2013, and that's my most joyous work at the moment. And so we're talking around that with her as the guinea pig. But they do have questions like you and I do every week, one at the beginning and one at the end. And there's no requirement for me to talk about anything artistic in those, obviously, because I haven't painted anything this week, Nicola.
No.
Or any week since 1955, to be honest.
No colouring either.
Well, I did no colouring. I'm over colouring. Yeah.
Colouring's finished.
It is.
So you've got a mystery for me, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I've got 2 questions which I think might create 2 focuses, and whether we do one today and one next week, so that's like a two-parter. I'm not sure. And I've got to do what I often have to do with you, which is I've got to warm you up with a bit of preamble.
Yeah.
So I think they're about happiness, and they've arisen out of two things I've consumed this week. One is my current favourite Abraham Hicks rampage, which is called Complete Trust in Life, which I found very comforting and magical in the last week or so. It's brought forth new and returning clients and income, and also a complete trust in life that I will find somewhere new to live now that I'm being moved on. Mm-hmm. So, when they came round to sell me, they wanted me to move on by the 8th of November. Your body has a reaction to that of fear initially. Yeah. But if you have complete trust in life, then you don't need to fear that. And what she says towards the end is quite complex, this Abraham Hicks one, which is why I think we might do the easier one in a minute and this complex one next week. But she's towards the end of the video, which I listen to every day, she says, the question is about absolute freedom. No one can vibrate for you. Your quest, what matters to you most, turn your sights upon how you feel, and are about, she rambles a bit, so it doesn't make sense, and are about the joyous aspect. Care about joy, about being happy. Make that more important than anything in this and every moment. Your dominant quest, blessed, fortunate, and the object of attention of source energy. The things you most enjoy doing, serving your happiness first, and everything that matters will fill in around it. And that last bit's really important, and she repeats it. If you serve your happiness first, everything that matters will fill in around it. So what I thought we might do, and we've taken extra time, and I'll read you the other one too, just to see if you think it's easier, is we would brainstorm in real time, together and separately, and edit it accordingly, about what would serve our own respective happiness first. Right, now the other one is much simpler.
Okay.
Which is why I think you'll like it more, and it's more businessy. So that one about serving your happiness first is from Esther, and the second one is from Lorna Bevan, who's the wacky astrologer that I like, in addition to Sally Kirkman's more logical stuff. Lorna says, ask yourself, and I think you'll like this, if everything is up for grabs and nothing is a given, what would I want to create in the world, and how would I go about creating it? Just let the answer bubble up from your unconscious. Don't analyze it or ignore it. Let it percolate and simmer. In the weeks to come, you'll find yourself living it out one step at a time. If everything is up for grabs and nothing is a given, what would I want to create in the world, and how would I want to go about creating it? Now, the reason why I want us to have time to do these is because I don't want anyone, you or me, to turn up and say that hoary old chestnut, which I only half believe, which is I wouldn't really change very much because I love what I do already. Because this is an opportunity for reinvention.
Yes.
Are they too scary?
The second one's scarier than the first one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you'd think the second one is easier. So, all right, then this week's focus is happiness, because that's what Esther's one is all about. Complete trust in life, she says, is dependent upon serving your happiness first. So the brainstorm then is, if you and I separately were to serve our happiness first, what would that have to involve? Now, do you want to talk off the top of your head, or do you want 5 minutes to think about it?
No, I'm good, I think.
Go then. Okay. If you were to serve your happiness first, what would that look like?
Well, the first thing that came up for me is that happiness is a relative term, because most of the time I am happy enough, and if I think about being really happy, that involves a relationship, and I don't want another relationship for lots of different reasons. So that qualifies my happiness, but I am happy enough, and I'm on a day-to-day basis, I'm perfectly happy.
And what are the constituent parts of happiness for you? What makes you, well, we've discussed people being annoying in boots is, limits it. But, if you seek things, joy, what do you look for?
Well, I look for a warm bed, a safe bed, a connection with other people, because I'm a lot happier here, even though Greece is beautiful and my house was lovely out there. I'm a lot happier here, mucking in with Phoebe and Nelson, because I have connection on a day-to-day basis with people I care about. I'm not happy about the weather, but I've got to get over that, because that's part of what comes with being connected to people. I have work I love. I don't have too many appointments in my diary. Now, I've always said happiness is no appointments in the diary, and I'm working towards that because by working more towards affiliate income along with income from products, that's less appointments in the diary. Happiness is helping other people to achieve their goals in a different way to the way they've been brought up. So I'm spending the afternoon today with Nelson, who's now decided he doesn't want to go back to driving Domino's in the evening while he's at college. He wants to do something else. And he wants to learn how to do what I do because he's seen Kit. Kit has made a big difference. You know, Kit, Richard's son, who's making...
Well, that model could definitely work for Nelson as a musician. The 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 hours of...
Well, and also we watched a YouTube video from back in the day where Phoebe and Nelson cooked together for an hour, and it was absolutely hilarious. Well, we thought so anyway, but it's one of her most viewed videos, even though it was just sort of spontaneous off the cuff, because they are both very comical. So I think they're playing with the idea of having a weekly cookery show. But we've been talking about him learning internet marketing, and this afternoon I'm going to try and explain what affiliate marketing is. But I've said, if you're going to do this...
Don't tell me too much about this, because we're going to make a whole show about this, aren't we?
Okay. Yes, well, we can do, yes. But the point is that it's better if you work on learning something with a subject that you're interested in. So I'm going to try and gear it all towards something he's passionate about, so that he's interested in the topic. Remember, when I used to try and make myself do things like the guinea pig whisperer.
And you wouldn't do that around his music?
Yes, absolutely. We are going to. Yes. I find it deeply fulfilling to help other people to bring their passions to life and to create an income that doesn't involve them going to work in an office every day. So that's one of the things that make me happy. What else makes me happy? A good book makes me happy. A good TV series makes me happy. Lots of things make me happy on a low level, low to medium level.
And I think they're probably quite important, because they're they're the underpinning, the foundations. If you're sitting on a lot of things which make you feel the opposite, I think we'd be quite unhappy.
Oh yeah, and an absence of worry about money makes me happy. And unfortunately that's been a peak to this week because of what I told you about.
Yes.
So I really want to get myself into a place where I've got a big cushion of cash, so that I don't have to think about it, cash flow. I don't want to have to think about cash flow. I want to look at it once a week. Okay,
so let's go back to complete trust in life, because what Esther would say is if you focus on happiness, everything you want will fill in around it.
Yes, and that is. And if you focus on the little things and being grateful is such a fantastic tool.
I agree, yeah.
And so every time I find myself getting a little bit restless on the happiness department, I focus on what I'm grateful for, and I come back to a place of happiness. But when you're saying it like you said it, I had a big twinge of...
Yes, I knew you would.
Yeah, yeah. And that's an interesting thing, because I don't actually want another relationship. I'd rather carry on serenely going into my old age without one. Thank you very much.
Well, do you want to discuss that? Is that because you fear? Is that because you fear loss again?
Partly that, and also because I'm not in a physical place where I think I could get into a relationship comfortably.
If you focus on your happiness first, everything else will fill in around it.
Okay.
Do you see the challenge here? Do watch this one called Complete Trust in Life, and I'll link to it in the show notes, because it's actually my favourite at the moment. I've been known to run it up to 3 times a day, because once you get that complete trust in life, all of these things turn up. It's totally weird.
Tell me that phrase again, and I'm writing it down, and then we're going to have an experiment. And see
which one?
The one you keep saying.
Serving your happiness first, and everything everything that matters will fill in around it. She repeats it twice, but at the end of 11 minutes or 14 minutes or something. It's the usual old thing at the beginning, and it's very funny. There's one it's a lovely one, and it's pink and purple.
Happiness first.
And everything that matters will fill in around it.
And everything that matters will fill in around it.
But when you listen to it, Complete Trust in Life, you might pull out, those are just the words that shouted out at me. You might pull out different things from it that are about complete trust in life.
Yeah.
So my complete trust in life is that I'll be housed. I've got housing for November and January, that I'll be housed for December, for instance.
Yeah.
You just trust it. You don't panic book things on trusted house sitters which are not suitable.
Yes.
Pretend you can walk dogs.
It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, isn't it?
Well, for happiness.
Yeah, happiness is at the top of it. Or actually, no, happiness starts around the middle of it. Once you've got your basic needs taken care of, you've got time and mental energy to think about what makes you happy. Until you've got those things, and sometimes when you slip back out of those things being covered, you can't. Happiness is a luxury that you can't afford until you've got the basics covered.
Well, many people believe it's a choice. And that's how the gratitude works, is that if we're grateful today and we're happy today, then we promote the likelihood of the things that we want filling in around it. So, for instance, in our I Love My Life group, which has about 17 members, I would say a dozen of whom are active, the 3 or 4 leading lights who've been completely transformed by the daily commitment to the gratitude process have always been abundant in their gratitude. Those of us that moan a bit, it doesn't work so well.
Yes.
You know, even if you moan a bit and even if you're being a bit funny, it doesn't work as well. It's the way with the fair is lovely people who, including Irene, who find lovely things, you know, because Irene could moan about the building development works that's going on around her house, but she doesn't. If she stays away from, if we all stay away from what's wrong and focus on what's right, you just get more of what's right.
I've got to say, listeners, in the, how many years have we been doing this podcast?
5, I think.
5, ridiculous. And that's like, are you having a friend of 55 years?
Yeah.
I have completely turned my thinking around to this. I 100% with all my fibre of my being believe what Judith is saying right now. And I have to practice it, and I have to keep practicing it because I'm a novice.
Well, we all have to, Nicola. I have to practice it. And do you know what? When I practice it, it works. And when I think, oh, good, well, I don't need to do it anymore, it stops working.
Yes. Which is one of the reasons we've stopped talking about challenges on this in this focus session. We're trying to actively avoid talking about challenges, aren't we? Because even 15 minutes talking about a week is dangerous.
I mean, I think, well, Alison Galbraith calls me the queen of positive thinking. I think I can spin anything into the upside of stuff. Yeah. But sometimes that's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes you do get a practical situation that you need to discuss with someone else. But as long as you're not wallowing...
banging the drum is the expression. Don't bang the drum. And sometimes that's difficult because actually we could have got off on a jag. We did a bit of, you know, Yodel and boots. You can get stuck in a rut. Shall I have a think about this?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So sitting here now in my lovely country cottage with a sunny day, brilliant daylight, good Wi-Fi, splendid view of the English countryside, no concerns about safety. I haven't locked the door. There's no need for me to lock the door at night because we're so remote that, yeah, exactly. And when I lived in the Docklands, I didn't lock the door at night either. The flat that you came to stay in one night, because you had to go through security to get to reception and then just through security to get in the lift and up to the 7th floor where I was. Never bothered to lock the door at night there either.
No.
Well, because nobody ever came in it.
Yeah, what about your neighbours?
Nobody. I lived there nobody ever came in it.
Okay.
And I think if you live in a building with full of anonymous doors, anyway, I'm not a frightened person by and large. Funnily enough, when I lived in Bromley, I wanted to double lock the front door, but that's different. Nobody would even know I was here. So what I love best about this is the English countryside in the beautiful weather. When I was driving up the M40 to and from Oxfordshire, which was the English countryside on Monday, it wasn't nice. And I was scared. I was scared about the lack of visibility. So now, today, I'm describing what makes me happy with ease, which is it's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful light, which is very important to me. We're doing our work. We allowed an extra half an hour because we weren't sure how it was going to go. I'm doing something new and exciting this afternoon. Coincidentally, Alice was very averse to woo-woo in the beginning, and in one of the recent Art Juice podcasts I listened to, I found her hectoring Louise about, about why Louise was doubting woo-woo. Anyway, my school report when I was about 6 said Judith is a very helpful little girl. I like to be helpful, as you've described. There's almost no call I get on my time these days, almost no, there are some, where I go, oh no, I don't want to do that. Mostly people just ask me to do things that I'm delighted to do. I'm surrounded by interesting clients who are achieving wowie type things, and my part in that makes me feel very proud. I have a car that's very nippy. I have a family that love me. I have an interesting hobby in finding out all about geopolitics and finance and the interrelationship of that. I have peace and quiet, which is my number one thing. I mean, it's so quiet here. It was quiet at Leslie's on Monday as well, but that quiet, and I'm equally happy. I don't need that thing you need to live with people and have daily connection. I don't need that. In fact, I'm almost the opposite of that. And here I have as much of that quiet alone time as I need, and I have lots of lovely things that I adore to do to fill it in, mainly online-y type things. So I've done my brain training this morning, and I do, word puzzles and things that I enjoy on my iPad. I'm surprising myself by how much I like this big television. Normally I don't like big televisions, but I'm surprising myself by how much I like this one. I like to surprise myself. Surprising myself and being able to laugh at myself makes me happy. I like learning new things. I like conversation. I like podcasting. There's much that makes me happy, but I suppose the main thing that makes me happy over and above peace and quiet and having all my needs met is when I put the phone down on a client and I think, I did something useful then.
Yeah.
Did something helpful, have made a difference to that one today.
Yes, that's nice.
And it doesn't always happen all the time. But for a long time, for the earliest part of my life to once I started to get really good at personal development, what the route to happiness was away from things I didn't like.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's quite a neg way to discover your happiness, actually. There's a lovely cartoon that goes around on Facebook with two sort of stick characters, and one of them's got a sort of empty tummy, and the other one's got a tummy with happiness in, and the empty one says, "Where did you find that?" He said, "It was always inside me," or "I invented it," or something like that, wasn't it? I just chose choosing for today. Back to the Nicky Duffy thing. We chose it. I chose it today, and that Esther complete trust in life helps me be happy because I'm confident, I'm not worrying, I'm not fretting. I've noticed as I get older, I worry more about what will the traffic be like, will I get there on time, will the new house I'm going to live in mean I have to hop over the side of a shower, they want to take me to the pub for the first night's dinner, I don't want to do that. If I'm not careful, I can get into a terrible sort of spiral of stuff which never comes to pass.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I have stopped doing. The whole Steve dying thing. I used to be a shocker for that.
Yeah.
But I absolutely do not. Actually, it was further back than that. You remember I went to that Rich Chevron weekend?
Yes.
In America at the last minute. And I came back from that not fearing flying anymore. Totally, my fear of flying had gone. Landing specifically, I absolutely don't mind.
I don't actually remember you having a fear of flying.
I just ignored it basically.
Yeah.
I used to get really, really quite stressed to the point that I would sweat and my heart rate would rise dramatically on the landing bit. Came back from that weekend with no fear of flying and no worrying. Didn't worry anymore. And then when Steve died, that was right out the window because the worst had absolutely happened.
Yeah.
I survived it.
Yes.
And that's a really interesting...
So you were worried about survival, were you?
I think so, yes. And not just me, everyone else. I mean, I'm mildly worried about Nelson driving to Dagenham with a car that laid up at traffic lights.
And you know what? I think that's appropriate.
He didn't worry about that at all.
No, I don't think I did at his age, yeah.
No, you don't. And that's definitely the point I'm trying to make is you don't worry about things when you're young. You feel invincible.
Well, because you don't understand the risks.
Yes. And as you get older, I think you start to worry.
Yes, I think that's true.
And then perhaps something happens that stops you worrying about things.
Well, like you, I do stop myself doing it. And sometimes, if it's in the dark, I might have to listen to or watch something to take me out of it, because you can get into this spiral of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. So, I mean, we're all using... what we're talking about here is being aware of what makes us happy, aligning our life to make us happy more often than not, and catching ourselves when we do things that are not conducive to happiness, whether that involves using tools. And what tools do you need? You know, have your tools ready.
And I think they're different for everybody.
And also adjust, you know, perhaps, you know, because if you've always had one idea of what happiness is, and I've got to say there's an awful lot of early childhood conditioning goes on here.
Yes.
You have it drummed into you that happiness is this.
Yes.
But then actually, as you get older, you think perhaps I choose not.
Oh, quite. And I'm a bit shocked by that. And I think my wealth dynamics profile was quite helpful with me in that, because I could never work out when I was coaching with Michael Neal why he was so happy to pack his suitcase and go to a gig, and I hated it. And I thought there was something wrong with me. It's that I'm 50% introvert, and that bit wasn't being recognised in my life at all.
Yeah.
There's something else here as well, which is, I can't think, it's gone. But I do think happiness, I know what I was going to say. Last Friday night, I watched Graham Norton, as is my wont, and Bruce Springsteen was on, and I like Bruce Springsteen. I've never seen him live, but I did love, and I'm not enough to go to a gig, but my brother and sister-in-law lived in New Jersey once, and that's where he's from, and they went to a gig. And certainly Anne, my sister-in-law, and I would say that The River, one of his albums, is probably one of our favourites. But the live music was not Bruce Springsteen, it was James Blunt. Nobody likes James Blunt, do they? Because of that You're Beautiful, that annoying song. And I always feel sorry for the musician if there's a huge musician on the couch. So I felt a little bit sorry for him. But the sound on my telly was so good that towards the end of the song, I found myself going, oh, this is fantastic. Not even the song. So despite not liking James Blunt, I noticed that the music was upping my already good mood. Yeah. So music is a good changer, mood changer, vibe changer, raiser, fast.
Yes.
You only got to put one track on and it changes. It really does up your quotient a lot.
Anything by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Well, fast. It ups it fast. And
yeah.
I even went so far as to make an upbeat track on Spotify, which, you know, I haven't listened to for ages, but I could do if I chose to, because it's so easy on YouTube to find music which is uplifting. Yes,
and I love the way it suggests other stuff, and that reminds you of tunes you've totally forgotten about.
You could lose yourself for a long time on that.
Yeah. I read an interesting thing the other day about people who feel sad, why they listen to sad music. And it was a really interesting article, and it said basically people listen to sad music to remind themselves that they're not alone in their sadness, that other people have felt like this.
I also think
sad music immediately and strenuously if I feel bad.
Well, I think there's a good reason for listening to sad music, which is, or anything sad, which is tears that come out are lessening something. So when I had about 10 years of therapy on and off, and the second, more professional therapist, I once asked her, you know, why do I appear to be, you know, why can't I stop crying when I talk about my emotions? And she said, because you've got an almost bottomless well of sadness at the moment. And what the tears do is it's like the reservoir. The tears leak out, and then one day you wake up and the reservoir's empty because you've cried it all. It's gone.
I find it really hard to cry.
I like crying. I don't cry nearly as much as I used to, which is, according to that therapist, then would be a good thing. My brother would say it's because I've toughened up. I don't think it's that. I think it's that I'm not sad anymore, and I do like crying, and I cry freely, and I let it go, and I think it's good. But it's happy things that make me cry, not sad things, oddly.
Yeah, I do cry at happy things on YouTube and Facebook.
Yes, and in the last 5 minutes of a film you haven't watched while you're tuning in for your program to start, and sometimes in adverts.
Oh, adverts make me cry all the time. Christmas ones. But that's not the same thing at all. That's not the hot.
Well, it's sentimental. It's sentimental, and they're but actually a good cry probably would make me happy. Oddly.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Might cheer me up.
Different kinds of tears. We've just
better out than in is what I'm telling you. Better out than in. Don't hold on to it. Let it go.
All right, I will.
Well, I think, and so let's invite the listener to give us some thoughts on our Facebook group. What makes you happy? How do you promote it when you're feeling a bit low? What tools do you go to? What always makes you happier? What do you need to be happy?
And we could share some of our happy tunes.
Well, we could, if you feel Yes, we could. That's been done in every group I've been in. I'm not sure I want to go there again. But don't let me stop any of our listeners saying this tune always cheers me up.
Yes, I'm very up for hearing a happy tune, people. Good stuff. Oh, that was a good topic, Judy.
Okay, so it's happiness.
And I'm going to watch that straight after we finish today.
Yeah, complete trust in life. I love it.
I'll bring it down.
Good.
Okay, word of the week then.
Mine is Maverick, because Lorna B, the mad astrologer who I really like, says, let those hidden maverick qualities and innovative ideas out to play. So I saw the word in there, Maverick. Leslie was a maverick on Monday. Leslie is a maverick. Mavericks are my kind of people. They're my posse. Jenga
is so much part of the national consciousness now. Does she realise how it's almost like Google and Hoover?
I know it's in lots of films. It's in lots of. I mean, she's bored with all of us emailing in saying, "Did you see it in EastEnders? Did you see it in the Tom Cruise film? Or did you? It's a word. Yes, it's a word like Hoover. You're right. It is.
It's become an iconic word. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mine is Equilibrium, because I managed to maintain it through that. Altercation in Boots. Nelson and I had a minor disagreement last night, and I managed to maintain my equilibrium through that too.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because what I said to my I Love My Life group when I was sitting outside Yodel was that how I managed to contain my composure through that, I've no idea, but I did. It's very satisfactory, isn't it? Because actually these situations are not worth our spending our happiness on.
No, they're not. Absolutely. Right. Project updates then. I've got some very quick stats for you. That's it.
Yep.
Own It, 122,481 downloads.
Yep.
So and then we're maintaining our new level of downloads since August, which is great. Stoupa Life has gone into phase 2, which is where we're getting some nice little things done, like hooking it up to a mailing list and getting custom thank you pages so that I can get pixels on them and stuff like that. The little things that weren't necessary but are nice. This was a good one. My new project that I'm going to be doing with the banking group. They came to me. It's going on a little bit because there's a guy that they're having to ease out because of his ill health, and they wanted to do it in the kindest way possible. So it's taking a bit longer than it should have done. They've confirmed to me that they want me to start on the 1st of November because they need to get rid of their PR company who aren't getting them any PR. And they're on a contract, so all that stuff. And they came and this made me laugh. They said they're in a meeting on Monday, and they WhatsApped me and said, would you be able to work a month in arrears? And then at the end of the first month, we'll pay you for that month and a month in advance for the next month and a month in advance thereafter. And I just thought about it. Well, I laughed was my immediate reaction because I thought, why would I do that?
Yeah, well done.
And I just went back to them and I said, I appreciate your asking, and cash flow is king, but that's like you asking me to lend your business.
Right. It's like you passing your problems over to me. Yeah.
Exactly. So I won't be doing that.
No.
But I'm happy to start as whenever you're ready. And so I stood firm on my boundary.
Oh, perfect. Leave the problem with the person that created it. That's my favourite thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought you'd be proud of me for that one. That's pretty much it, really, on the project updates.
Okay. Who or what has impressed you?
I've got 2 quickies and a slightly longer one.
Okay.
A Confession. Watched the rest of that. Really enjoyed it. He's such a great actor. Really enjoyed that.
Yes, he is good.
Dublin Murders. Have you checked it out? It's really good.
Is it on the People's Channel?
On BBC One. Yes. And it's a really interesting plot premise, which I'm not going to spoil here, but 2 really good actors, and I was gripped literally within the first 5 minutes because of their interesting expressions and what was going on. So highly recommend that. Not gory at all. It's a psychological sort of thing rather than a shocker.
Okay.
And the final thing is super photo in Brighton. Phoebe found Irving my wedding video. And I popped over the road to the computer shop and I said, do you know anyone locally who might be able to turn this into something digital? And he said, yes, super photo in Brighton. So I sent off an email. I went to the website, very dated website, but it had everything I needed. So I sent them an email and they called me, which was a bit of a shock. And lovely chap called Philly. and his daughter run the Super Photo in Brighton, and they can, yes, of course they can put it onto digital, they can enhance the quality, they can put it onto a memory stick and send it to me, or they can upload it online. And it was all very effortless. They took my card details, they took payment, and they sent a little snippet just to check the quality was going to be okay. And it was the day before the wedding, Nick was going around filming everyone, and it was just so funny to watch it. So I'm really looking forward to getting that. But it was a lovely service, and Philippe actually rang me and he said, "Oh, I see from your email signature that you help people with their marketing online." And I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Well, I'd love to talk to you." And I thought, "Oh, how nice, really open businessman." He said, "Obviously I'd pay you for your advice. I'm not expecting freebies."
What did you say his name was? Philippe?
Sorry, Philippe, yes.
Philippe, okay. And what year did you get married? Oh, I know this. No, I don't.
1997.
Okay.
It was the week before the Labour government got into power and Princess Diana died.
It was the year I sold my business.
Yes. And I was sitting in the bath the week after, because we didn't go away on a honeymoon. We stayed at home, and Irving painted the hallway. And I was quite pregnant with Nelson, 6 months pregnant with Nelson. So I was in the bath when the Diana news came through. But yeah, you sort of remember where you were, don't you?
You do a bit. I was in Cullen's in Marylebone High Street.
Were you?
Yeah.
What?
I went down to get the Sunday papers. I won't tell you what I said out loud when I saw it.
Yeah. Yes, I can imagine. What's impressed you then?
There was a 75-minute documentary on BBC Two on Saturday night about Mark Ronson, which I watched on
was there?
Sunday. You can watch it on iPlayer still on Sunday. And I'm going to read you the sneering review about it in a minute. But before I do, I saw him do something in it that I heard Ed Sheeran do on Jonathan Ross and on Desert Island Discs, which is, he says, when Ed Sheeran said it so impressed me, I put it in my book, and Ronson says during a period of self-doubt that he would ever be commercially successful. So he got off to a fast start, and then there was a slump, and then he turned it round into what he is now. But during the slump, he doubted that he would ever make any money. And what he said to himself is, what if I just make something that I like, that makes me happy? Isn't that interesting? Makes me happy and proud, or words to that effect. And that's what Ed Sheeran, when Jonathan Ross asked Ed Sheeran, what made the difference? I decided to go to hell with critical something. I'll just make what I like for me. And it seems to me that people with creative talent, that's pivotal. It fascinates me. And it's a bit like, if you choose happiness, all the stuff will fill in around it. If you make stuff that you like, then those that like it, whoop-de-doo, those that don't have no impact on your creativity. And talking of impact on your creativity, and I'm sure this will have no impact on Mark Ronson's, thank God, but there was somebody called Jack Seal on the Radio Times. So I looked at the review. I go to the Radio Times to see what's on telly tonight, and I looked at the review, and it says, superstar producer Mark Ronson has made an awful lot of popular records, which oddly turns out to be a crimp on this perfectly well-made biographical documentary. Extensive interviews with Ronson himself tell his story, starting with a music-infused upbringing that was fissured by divorce, and experience, Ronson says, informs his unusually reflective 2019 album Late Night Feelings. Despite the film's feature length, though, there's no time to explore that fully, because Boy George and Lady Gaga and others are queuing up to lionize Ronson for his work with them. All right, that's the intro. Then it says, I want you to tell me whether you think this is true as an appreciator of his creative output. Gradually, a picture emerges of a smart, versatile pro with a very modern talent. I'm not going to tell you what that is yet, because this is quite a hard sentence to read. Gradually, a picture emerges of a smart, versatile pro with a very modern talent that can't be distilled into anything really stirring.
Well, that's a bit...
Oh, it's horrible.
Yes.
And what he says the modern talent is, and this probably explains why I like him, the reworking of classic sounds from the 60s and 70s to suit 21st century ears. Is that what you think Mark Ronson does?
No, not at all.
Well, isn't that sneery?
Yes, it's very sneery, and it's not true.
Really? Well, I put here, sneering Jack Seal on Radio Times, do you feel that's true? That's exactly the question I wanted to ask you. And then I thought when I read it, oh, is that why I like him? Is that why I like a 30-year-old musician? Because he takes the sounds of my youth and turns it around, improves it so that I will like it now. Yeah,
absolutely not true. I hear influences from much further back than that.
Yeah.
He's very jazz-orientated.
And much further forward than that too, Nicola.
Yeah. He totally synthesizes everything that's gone before and makes a really unique sound for the artist he's working with.
And do you find it really stirring?
Yes.
So do I. Yeah.
I love his productions.
Well, isn't that so? Whatever you do, listener, in your creative output, there's going to be somebody sneering at it.
Yes,
ignore them. They work for the Radio Times.
It's impossible to be creative and try and pander to everybody's critical opinion.
Well, it's impossible to be self-employed, Nicola, and do the same.
Yeah, ridiculous. Right. So on that note, whoever you are.
On that jolly note, we're off, Ski. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.